The first step in producing messages to Kafka is creating a producer record. The producer record must contain two mandatory items. First is the name of the Kafka topic we want to utilize for sending our message. Basically, topics help us in classifying the message. The second is the actual message that we wish to send. There are a bunch of optional items as well that we can add to the producer record, such as a key, a partition, timestamp, and a collection of headers. We won't delve too much into them right now. Let us understand what happens after we send the producer record. A number of things take place before our record even reaches the Kafka broker. First, the producer serializes the key and the message to byte arrays. This is done so that the data can be sent over the network. If we didn't explicitly specify a partition, the data is sent to a partitioner. The partitioner will automatically choose a partition for us. This is usually done based on the producer record's key, if we have specified one. Once a partition is selected, the producer knows the topic and the partition the record will eventually go to. However, it does not immediately send out the record. The record is added to a batch of records that will also be sent to the same topic and partition. A separate thread is responsible for sending this batch to the appropriate Kafka brokers. Ultimately, at some point of time, the record makes its way to the broker. When the broker receives the messages, it sends back a response to the producer. If the messages were successfully returned to Kafka, the broker will return a RecordMetadata object. This object contains information such as the topic, partition, and the offset of the record within the partition. The broker, however, can also fail to write the message. In such a case, it will return an error. When the producer receives an error, it may retry sending the message a few more times before giving up and returning an error to the application. Now that we have some idea of what the Kafka producer actually does, we can now create one programmatically. Since we are using Java Maven project for our demo, we need to add the Kafka client's dependency to the pom.xml file. This dependency pulls in the official Kafka client package that contains all the classes we are using to create and use a Kafka producer. Next, we can create a Kafka producer instance using this code. Basically, in this code, we are creating a properties object and adding three mandatory properties to it. First is the bootstrap servers. This is a list of host port pairs of brokers that the producer can use to create the initial connection to Kafka. It is good to provide at least two brokers, though we are playing a bit brave in the above snippet by having only localhost 9092. Even if one goes down, the producer can still connect to the cluster. Second is the key serializer. This is the name of the class that will be used to serialize the keys of the records. Though Kafka brokers expect byte arrays as keys, the producer interface allows us to use parameterized types. Therefore, we can use any valid Java object as a key. The producer will use this class to serialize the key object to a byte array. Third is the value serializer. As evident, this is the name of a class that will be used to serialize the message value of the records. Basically, this is the same as the key serializer, except it is applicable to the message or the value part of the record. Once the properties object is ready, we use it while instantiating the Kafka producer. The string within the parenthesis denotes the data type for the key and value respectively. Some important points about the Kafka producer. The key serializer and value serializer should be set to the name of a class that implements the serializer interface provided by Kafka. The special class string serializer implements this particular interface. Second, we may not be interested in setting a key for our record. However, we still need to set the value for the key serializer to the special void serializer class. Third, our Kafka cluster might have several brokers. However, we don't need to include the entire list as part of the bootstrap servers list. Just one or two are enough. The producer will get more information about the other brokers after the initial connection to the cluster. This was all about the basics of Kafka Producer. In the next video in this series, we are going to look at 3 strategies to send messages using the Kafka Producer. If you liked this video, consider subscribing to the channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. See you until the next time.